Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Libra for October 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where if you are in resonance with my courses, I can assist you in having a vocation that you love and being geographically free. So what's going on in the month of October? Well, for the rest of you Libras who didn't have your birthdays already, then you'll have your birthdays, so happy birthday. Even for those of you who are watching for your rising sign, when the sun crosses over your rising sign, it's a very exciting time of year and has a lot of energy similar to birthday energy, where it's like a new, fresh, clean slate, a vibrance and activity. So if you are, if you have an early degree, like 0 to 9 or so degrees of Libra as your rising sign, or if you're an early, if you've had your birthday already in September, then you have a lot of energy moving in your first house. This is where the rest of you are coming towards soon, but not quite yet, which we'll get into. But the energy of the first house is about how you see yourself, how you put yourself out into the world. The sun is really how you see yourself. The rising sign is how you put yourself out into the world. It's how other people see you. It's your mask. But it's still a very important lens that you look at life through. And this energy of the first house is your physical body. It's, what you're putting out into the world, your image, a lot of aspects of health, and just it's a very busy, exciting rebirth time. So earlier degree placements, you'll have that busyness and that expansion. And also sometimes this is an expansion of your sense of self. So maybe you saw yourself as an accountant because that's what you were, but now you want people to see you doing spiritual work. And, so there could be this great shift in how, and Jupiter moving through your sign has also facilitated this, but now there's also some good short-term energy with you enhancing the way that you're putting yourself out into the world. So whether that's through clothing, hair, jewelry, anything. Taking pictures is really great at this time. And here we are in the middle of October. There are no personal planets retrograde, so it's a really good time to buy stuff. So if you need anything in that area, this is a really good time to focus on that. I'm calling the theme of the month birthdays and hidden magic. So we've got birthdays happening, and there's also a lot of energy in the 12th house. Now, even you early degree placements that I said have this energy brewing in your first house, you still also have energy in your 12th house, and you middle and late degree placements have a lot of energy in your 12th house. The 12th house is the antithesis of the first house. The first house is all out there, it's vibrant, it's for everybody to see, and the 12th house is hidden. So hidden, in fact, that not only is it things you hide from other people, it's things that you hide from yourself. So this is the deep unconscious mind, this is the deep cosmic soup where everything is connected. So your dreams at night, areas that you can intentionally focus on this month, or things that will just naturally be highlighted whether you're looking for them or not, are dreams at night, working with your dreams, dream time work, lucid dreaming, psychological work, having someone assist you with your inner psyche. Very often fears come up, usually in the time before your birthday or the sun crossing over your ascendant. The sun highlights the 12th house, and many of you still have this going on. When you have a spotlight on in your 12th house, it's like putting a light on in an attic. You will find things that you've been missing or things you didn't know that you had, hidden treasures, hidden magic, but you'll also find stuff that you don't like and that really needs to be dealt with. And this is the seed of empowerment, because the things that you're afraid of are inhibiting your path of living life fully. Where people are living in so much fear that it's more about the fear than it is about life, So this is a period of time where it's very rich with possibility for clearing out those things that are interfering with you living life fully. And it's a time for wishing when your birthday comes. You get your birthday wishes, and a time for planting seeds for, your clean slate. So in the time before that, which your middle and late degree placements, you're having that strongly highlighted until your birthday or until the sun crosses over your ascendant. This is the time to figure out the things that are in the way of the things that you want. Also, sometimes things that you don't want have to kind of be revealed and possibly experienced as an effort to help you see what you don't want. It's when we're wishing for something or trying to manifest something, we have to be very clear. And sometimes it's hard to be clear when there are opposing forces within us. So this energy in the 12th house can help you to recognize and clear up those opposing forces within you so that you can get everybody on the same page. So past life regression is amazing here, working with subliminal programming, doing neurolinguistic programming, doing EFT, anything that constitutes inner work. I'm a huge inner work fan. I always talk about inner work, but specifically when you have a water house aspected like this in the 12th house, the house of the unconscious mind, you want to do everything that you can to look in the dark spaces for as much of the hidden magic as you can find. And sometimes the magic comes in the form of something that doesn't seem very magical, but it can turn magical very quickly. This 12th house makes me think of the, if you've seen the movie or read the book, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I'm not going to, maybe there'll be a little bit of a spoiler alert here if you haven't seen it. So I'll try to keep it minimal, but basically there's a whole world inside his briefcase. And when we mean a whole world, like it's pretty extensive. And that's what our unconscious minds are like, So there's darkness in there, things that have to be dealt with, growing forces like there was in the briefcase. And there are also those amazing, adorable things in there, wonderful things, magical things. So take the time to do the inner work. You might notice that in the time before your birthday, you feel a little weird. And this is because all of these energies are bumping around in the area of things that you sweep under the rug. So the rug is pulled up, the dust is everywhere, it's a little messy, it's a little chaotic, but hopefully as your birthday comes or the sun crossed over your ascendant, then things will start to clear up, things will start to, all that work that you did will start to show up. So those are the things that are most on my mind. Oh, one more thing. Hidden things, doing things behind the scenes is very much indicated when you have energy in your 12th house. Pay attention to the flow because each of you is going to have a different timing for this depending on your exact placement. But you're in a cycle now where there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes. And then as it's ready, things are being pushed out into the scene realm. So just tune in and try not to push things out prematurely. But if you think they're ready, then we are in this great open window between September 20th and November 15th, free of personal planets being retrograde. It's the second to last open window for pushing things out in the world in a big way. Before the wall of retrogrades that starts in March of 2018, we have another one a little bit into January through the beginning of March. So I don't want you to push things out prematurely, especially with this 12th house, because you might have to do a little bit more work behind the scenes and try not to talk to too many people about certain projects because they need the protection now until you feel that shift into the planets moving into the first house when it's time to take the egg, or I guess the hatchling to let it fly would be a good way to look at that. Okay, so now I want to talk at length about the general transits for this month, the luckiest day of the year we're going to have this month. We're going to have Jupiter switching into Scorpio, which is very notable. Of course, it's leaving your sign where it's been for a year. And I want to talk about a lot of the individual transits and manifestations that you could see from them. So I'm calling the theme of the month for all signs, Purge and Merge. And this is from the short-term and actually now introduction to this long-term energy in Scorpio that is being brought in as a theme. We've got personal planets which move more quickly and talk about the energy over a number of weeks, moving into the sign of Scorpio. But we also have Jupiter changing signs into the sign of Scorpio, and it will be there for a year. So, do you ever notice that when you clear out a shelf, before you know it, the shelf is full again? This is just an example of how energy moves. Space wants to be filled. So the best way to usher change or new things in is to make space for those things. And so this energy this month is very much about releasing so that you can make room for more things to come in. And there will be a strong theme, a Scorpio-based theme about what those things are that will be coming in. So we're talking about purging items and beliefs and dynamics, anything clutter, anything that is no longer serving you. If you have a way of looking at something that is limiting you, then we're talking about letting go of that idea or that way of seeing things. You know, this is a very all-encompassing release and letting go. So some themes that are going to be present this month as the general transit story for everyone, but again will be present as this kind of constant long-term theme for around a year, also has to do with anything Scorpio based, basically. So psychology, astrology is in there from the psychological perspective of astrology. Any esoteric or occult studies, you know, so basically exploring the riches of the lesser seen realms. That's the energy of Scorpio, the things that are lesser seen, intangible things. The topic of other people's money is a big one. So anything involving loans, debt, credit, capital funding, inheritances, marital money, parents' money, inheritances, I said that one already. Anything having to do basically were resources that come to you from somewhere else. So investments, anything kind of hard to, stocks are really, they're intangible. And that's what places them in this realm, and loans and money that's somewhere present on paper, but it's hard to track where the money actually is. That's the 8th house dominion. So sweepstakes, lottos, lotto winnings, anything like that, financial support or assistance of any kind, empowering others or being empowered yourself in any way, the process of self-empowerment, the journey of self-empowerment, research, investigation, intimacy, sex, power, birth, death, rebirth, like the phoenix rising from the ashes is basically this energy of Scorpio. So these are the themes that are really dominating the energy now, and they will be for a while to come. So now I want to talk about a couple of other noteworthy things before I get into some of the individual transits. Remember that we are still in this last window of the year for launching things, pushing things forward. Towards the end of September, we started this open window free from personal planets being retrograde, and that continues until November 15th. So all of October is in this open window if you're trying to make a big decision, if you're trying to push something forward, if you want to move, sign a lease, sign a contract, there are lots of open energies where communication is flowing more freely because of not, being in detriment from the retrograde. So take as much action as you feel drawn to, don't make yourself too crazy over it. This open window time is a time to push a little bit. It's time to push, but you always have to honor your own intuition with that, because sometimes it happens so often. I can't tell you how often I see this happen with people that I work with and myself. If I think I should be doing something, or you think you should be doing something, and then you're not, and then time passes and something happens and you're like, oh gosh, I'm really glad I didn't do that thing, It's because that was intuition holding you back. You might have thought it was fear, you might have thought you were being lazy, but the more you tune into your intuition, you can tell the difference between something energetically telling you to wait and some sort of issue within yourself that you have to overcome to be able to move forward. It's a very tricky dance to try to figure out when you're supposed to push a little harder to get through something and when you are supposed to be honoring the things that seem to be saying hold off. But in any case, you'll have a lot of opportunity to push through limitations and do certain things anyway, work a little bit harder during this open window. And then you can have lots of notable outcomes in the months and even beyond that to come. This is the last window before I guess it's the second to last window before this big wall of retrogrades that we have next year. Next year, most of the year is spent in a personal planet retrograde, and usually more than one personal planet being retrograde at once. We've got the Mercury retrograde cycles, we have a Venus retrograde cycle, and we have a Mars retrograde cycle. So a little bit into January through the beginning of March is our only really open window all of 2018 without a personal planet being retrograde. So for launches, pushing things forward, there's a little space there somewhere around the beginning of May. I think I have to go back and check that, but I know that there's a little, very small window somewhere else if you have to push a couple of things in later on into the year. But otherwise, the whole thing is dominated by retrogrades. So if you're going to launch a website, launch a YouTube channel, launch a book, start a business, officially get, documents that LLC or whatever you're going to do, something official. You want to try, if you're intuitively led this way, to get these kind of things done in this window or in the window that's early in 2018. So hopefully you can find your balance between what you have to push through and what Spirit might be telling you to hold off on. So we do also have one of the luckiest days of the year this month, which is around October 26th. The actual transit of the Sun joining with Jupiter happens on the 26th. Sometimes you feel that energy the day before, sometimes you feel that energy the day after. But it's just very lucky and very wonderful and very well lit up. I remember last time this happened, last year, I was expecting it on the day, that the transit was happening, but the day before was when it hit for me, and it was just like, whoa, this is so Jupiter Sun, so just follow the flow, because we give you these dates as guidelines, but the energies, the manifestations from transits can happen before or after the actual transit. So you have to be feeling into them. And a lot of times there are transits going on at the same time. So like a really good transit could be happening right at the same time as a challenging one. So you have to really tune in to make sure things are flowing for you personally and not just base your decisions on a date per se. It's a very individual process because our charts are very complex, and general horoscopes can't speak to all of the other things that are going on in your chart. Only you can feel that. Okay, so let's talk about some of these other aspects. We start out the month with a really beautiful aspect, Mars trining Pluto. So this is the second and last time that this aspect will occur. It occurred before on April 6th. So it can bring courage and confidence and determination. So if you need some oomph to push something through, then the energy around this time could be helpful with that. And you might feel that even towards the end of September, a few days before the October 1st or a few days after. On October 3rd, we have the follow-up here, which is Venus making a trine to Pluto. And this is all happening in Earth energy, because Mars in Virgo and then Venus in Virgo are making the trine to Pluto in Capricorn. So this is very grounded, this is very stable, this is very practical. And there are lots of things that you can do with that energy. So Venus rules love, beauty, money. Mars rules, your energy, how you use it. And by the way, I am giving you some details about some of the transits that I see most notable for this month. But if you would like a written version of the general transits, then definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. I send out a monthly newsletter like clockwork. If you have signed up for my email and you're not getting the emails, you need to contact me because there's something up. They could be going to spam or promotions or events folders or something like that, because I send it out every month, a month early. So I'll be sending out this October one to my list in the beginning of September, so that you have a visual version of the general transits, because sometimes it's easier to process that way and to keep track and to make your plans. Okay, so on October 5th, we have a full moon at almost 13 degrees of Aries. Full moons bring fullness and completion, and sometimes drama, and sometimes things coming to fruition in a magical way. It's a welling up. I always think of it as a dog shaking off water, because water represents emotion, and that's what we do at the full moon, is just like a shaking off of all this emotional buildup in our fields. You might notice if you spend a moon cycle connecting with the earth, like putting your bare feet and hands in the earth, even laying on the earth, and doing emotional clearing exercises, that the energy buildup at the full moon might be a little bit more manageable for you. If you happen to be overwhelmed with the emotions of the full moon, then you can experiment with trying to discharge energy from your field for the cycle before and see what your personal rhythm is. But the fullness, completion, fruition, possibly drama comes in the sector of individuality and self-image. So this can bring a lot of attention to you. You know, this can be mean a lot of people are looking at you. It could also mean that you weren't looking at something within yourself that you have to. Sometimes there is a symptom or a health ailment that you've been ignoring, and sometimes a full moon in Aries will bring it up, bring it to fruition. You know. Speaking of which, I wanted to mention earlier. I want to make sure to mention now is the state of our adrenals very much is related to how we experience astrological transits, because our adrenals rule a lot of different things. It's very complex, the amount of physiological things that are connected to the adrenal glands. But when we are running on overtime, stressed all the time, our adrenals get burnt out. And people joke about this and say, oh, my adrenals are shot, and they go on with their lives. Well, if you hear any message from this video, I hope it's take your adrenal state more seriously than any astrological forecast, because how you tolerate stress, how you make decisions, how you hold anger, how you respond, how you tune into your heart messages and your intuition is all going to be connected to the state of your adrenals in many cases. So when the transits come and exert pressure on you, if you're already super stressed and your body is just overwhelmed because you're not babying your adrenals, then you're going to have more of a challenging experience processing challenging things that come. It's harder to handle things gracefully when your adrenals are stressed. So you've got to check in with your doctor and yourself and your own research to see what the best way is to balance and be nice to your adrenals, but definitely feel into it because because things like this can supersede some astrological things, or at least definitely shift how you experience the astrology and put you in a more clear position to use the positive energies while softening and mitigating some of the challenging transits. Okay, so October 8th, we've got Venus in Virgo square Saturn in Sagittarius. So pressure is put on finances and relationships and likely self-esteem. Whenever Saturn is in a challenging angle to a planet, the pressure and stress is they're the key words that come along with this. And since Venus rules love, beauty, self-esteem, money, some pressure will come there. Then we have on October 9th, Mercury and the Sun together, okay, and in Libra, and those are both squaring Pluto. So again, when you have a square, this is a challenging angle. This can be stressful. So negativity and suspicions could run high now. There could be an antagonistic force coming towards you, or it could be an internal source, which usually it is under the guise of an external force. But very often, especially when Pluto is involved, there's inner riches to come out. So sometimes we get lazy, and unless we have a bit of pressure, we don't find places within ourselves that are waiting to be revealed. So this could be a little pressure, this could be a little stress, but you also could find some hidden riches from that. On October 10th, this Jupiter entering Scorpio that I spent some time talking about before. So this is going to last for around a year. Jupiter transits are around a year. On October 11th, we've got Mars squaring Saturn in Sag. So you notice the trend here. Obviously, Mars and Venus are close together. And so Mars will make an aspect, and then Venus will make an aspect. So now here we have Mars making this, this square to Saturn after Venus already made the square. So this is, whenever Saturn's involved, there's usually like some sort of older or allegedly wiser or more established energy, or someone who happens to have the say, even if they're not older or wiser, a Saturnian force that's working against your movement. Mars represents movement. Trying to be a perfectionist at this point might be harder now. So just kind of feel into that, because flexibility might be able to push you through this transit a little bit better. October 12th, we have Mercury and Saturn in a nice angle. So this is good for concentrating and figuring out solutions. So if you have anything come up from the previous transit with Mars and Saturn, then this could be assistive to you. October 15th, we have Mercury in Libra opposing Uranus in Aries. Whenever the planet of communication is opposing this random, erratic, or seemingly random and erratic force of Uranus, you know, it definitely increases nervous tension. So using all of your tools to support your adrenals, to keep yourself balanced now, because there's going to be a tendency to rush into things, into agreements. And it's not the best thing to rush in. If you're feeling very nervous, you have to make a decision, then you might be better off not making the decision if you can help it, because making it from this stressed place could have annoying repercussions. So on the 16th, we've got the Sun in Libra making a nice angle to Saturn. So this can bring a burst of support or respect from someone in charge or someone who you admire. October 18th, we have Mercury in Scorpio making a conjunction to Jupiter in Scorpio. So we talked about, and I'll mention again, this Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio aspect on the 26th. Mercury coming and joining with Jupiter also carries good luck and also carries positive energy and good news. It's one of the typical transits of good news. So that's happening. And then on October 19th, we have the new moon at 26 degrees of Libra. Whenever there's a new moon, there are new open possibilities, and you make your 10 new moon wishes now on the subjects of Libra. So anything about partnerships or relationships of any kind, diplomatic communications, anything about trying to resolve, find a win-win solution, work together on a project, anything, and of course, not coincidentally that I'm mentioning this, Libra rules the adrenals. So this is, all of the Libra energy this month is really assistive, and I would think it's a good idea to make one of your wishes, please help me to really support my adrenals and keep them in a balanced state, or better yet, say thank you for my perfectly functioning adrenals. And then you feel that as if it's true. You feel yourself being emotionally balanced and mentally clear. I have a video that talks about using astrological power periods, how you can most use those energies. So if you just search for Making Wishes Annie, anywhere on the internet, I'm pretty sure that comes up. If not, you can find it on my channel. So on October 24th, we've got another sweet aspect with Mercury, trining Neptune. So this is a sweet, dreamy aspect. It's really good for romantic or artistic or personal, quiet, spiritual ventures. The 26th, we have that Sun in Scorpio conjunct Jupiter, which can bring lots of luck. On the 27th, we've got Venus in Libra squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So some challenges could come here, even though we've got a lucky energy the day before. So this is what I mean about these, dueling energies. We never know which energies are going to be more present when. So you just have to tune into your personal situation. And so the Venus square Pluto can bring this surfacing of deep issues regarding power, regarding control, especially as it relates to love and money and self-esteem. So it's not usually the best time to act on strong feelings, because you'll have a lot of, tension in your solar plexus. That's our control center, our third chakra. So this type of aspect usually brings up something that gets us tight in there. So always, of course, making a decision from that space isn't usually the best thing to do, but doing inner work or seeking other psychological support for the issue is very good at this time. And on the same day, we have another nice aspect, which is, and I don't want to say that the challenging aspects aren't nice. I just mean, we feel them. They make us feel bad sometimes, but sometimes the feeling bad can be productive, and so they can turn out to be nice, but that wouldn't be the first word we'd use to describe them. Whereas this Mercury in Scorpio making a nice angle to Pluto in Capricorn, this is something that can bring answers to deep questions, powerful breakthroughs, and intentionally using this energy for meditation and integration will go a very long way. So you can also have clear understanding of long-standing dynamics that involve relationships with people and money. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits for the month of October. Definitely look at my website for a new offering I'm going to have available very soon, a new school that I'm starting. Also check out my Shine Your Brilliance Vocational University, where I have my coach training, my online business course training. I have my astrology apprenticeship program, so you can see if there are still slots in those. And also check out my Train Your Brain subliminal bundles, where you can be shifting your neurological patterning as you listen to nice, relaxing outside sounds. And if you'd like to see more about what's up for you, for the month for you, for your sign, check out my husband, B.R. Newman's Taroscopes, and you can look him up under B.R. Newman, Neumann, or see them at imhelios.com. You can check out my website and all of my offerings at anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely sign up for my free email newsletter and get your written version of the general transits out. Also, other things come along with that sometimes. And I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.